So my expectations for this Grand Highlander have sort of been shifted a little bit since I saw it. When I first saw this online and I saw the preview images and everything, I thought this was going to be kind of just a little bit of an upgrade to the regular Highlander, but I was actually wrong. So there's actually three differences between this Grand Highlander and the regular Highlander that I think make it a completely different vehicle. First off, we've got a third row, which you can actually fit real adults in there. I might not be a real adult, I'm kind of short, but I can fit back in there. And the cameraman right behind me, Kirk, say hello. He is super awesome for filming today, so go check out his channel. The second thing that you get in here is a choice of engines. Now you can get the Hybrid Max, and that is not the sound of the Hybrid Max. That is a large truck behind me over there. So you can get a big choice of engines. And the third thing is this just feels more upscale. So let's check it out. So what I'm seeing from a design perspective is, first off, this thing is actually a little bit longer. This is about 7 inches longer than the regular Highlander, and the wheelbase is longer too. This is 201 inches compared to 116 for the regular Highlander, so it's actually quite stretched a bit more. And when you look at the front here, pretty classic Toyota, but I'm getting sort of RAV4 vibes over here. And then same with the headlights here too, with these sort of LED running lights, which are not on right now. So you sort of have a little bit of that vibe, that family resemblance. And on this Platinum version that we're in right now, you have this wave that sort of goes all the way across the hood here. When you get into different versions, which we're going to look at a little bit later, you're going to see different color choices, and you're going to see on the Hybrid Max version, you get a little chin spoiler over here. So this is the Platinum version. This is the more upscale version, and we get 20-inch wheels on this, which, hello Corvette owners, you're going to feel really happy about this one. I'm not a big fan of the actual chrome right here, but I do like the design of the wheels, and these are 20-inch wheels. On the other models, you get down as far as low as an 18. But in terms of just the overall design and styling, I think this thing looks pretty appropriate for a Toyota product. It looks conservative. You're not going to knock anybody's socks off with the radical styling, but I think it looks nice too. And what I like about this is they don't slope down the rear roof, so you keep all of the space back here for the rear seat passengers, and that's really important because you've got the third row. And I was saying before, this thing is actually pretty massive. What we've got here is a longer wheelbase, and finally, we have a lot of space behind the third row in this. We have about 20 cubic feet right here behind the third row, and that is way more than the regular Highlander has. And we have split folding rear seats, 60/40. They're a little bit crunchy. This is potentially pre-production, so I'm not sure that's gonna, be that way in the final version of this, but lots and lots of space back here. And they did give you the extra space by adding in the sort of very thin seats back here, so it makes it, you got a little bit more room back here. And there's a pretty clever way of getting into this, which we'll talk about in just a second, but hey, let's go hop up front. What we've got here is leather, and I think we have some type of soft text in the center portion right here. I really, really like this color combination. Sometimes you get all these dark colors, but in the Platinum Edition, you can get this color. You can also get sort of a nice caramel chocolate color. And what I also like, which gives a little more premium look, is these inserts here, this sort of bamboo style insert. And overall, the materials in here, it just feels like it's a little bit more upscale than what you get in the regular Highlander. You got really nice soft touch materials here and here. And this is super practical. This vehicle is all about bringing your family out for the ultimate road trip. That's what they were telling us, and I think that is absolutely right. And you've got so much space in here. We've got this, does this pop out? I think this does. Well, I don't know. No, maybe it doesn't. Anyways, we have like the mega drink cup holder over here. We got a couple of cup holders over here. We have wireless charging over here. And the center console is massive. You can fit, geez, you could fit a purse in here. You could fit a couple of purses in here. There's really quite a bit of space in here. And overall, the impression of this, it's not quite at Lexus level, but this is definitely sort of in the higher end of what Toyota is offering right now. And I think it's very attractive. It's sort of a very handsome type of interior. And you do get this 12.3-inch display, I think, on all of the trims. Is that right? On all the levels, yeah. Yeah, we get 12.3, and now we have this new Toyota connected system, which I've driven quite a bit, and let's start it up here. It's pretty quiet. Can't even hear it. So this Toyota connected system, I think, is really, really good. They've been refining this over the last couple of years with different cars, and when I first drove it, I didn't like it very much, but now it's really pretty responsive here. And you've got wireless Android Auto, you've got wireless Apple CarPlay, and physical controls for all the heating and ventilation, which, as you have watched my channel before, you know I make a big deal of it. I think it's really, really important to have physical heating and ventilation. And of course we have heating and cooling for the rear seats as well, but these are easy to reach. They are right at hand, and the steering wheel is quite big, actually, I think. It is not power, but I don't think it really matters at this price point. It feels pretty nice. It's leather trimmed. And we've also got I think this is a 10.1 inch display in front of the driver. Is that right?
I think it might be 12.
Might be 12.
Yeah, but
it's pretty big.
We can always fact check that. Yeah.
It's pretty big, and it's pretty configurable. And this looks to me like this is very similar to what is in the new Tacoma, which you've probably already seen those videos right now. And this is also, I think this is going to be something that they're going to be standardizing on. And I think it's quite attractive. I think the black levels are quite good. It's very customizable. As you can see, you can get your navigation in there too, and you've got all your different information that you can move from side to side. So I'm kind of a big fan of this. We've also got heated and ventilated seats, and in the front, and then in the rear, in the Platinum, you've also got heated and ventilated seats too, which is really, really nice. So that's one of the things that you get with the Platinum Edition. Let's go to the back seat. So hopping in the back, this is pretty good. I've got a ton of knee room over here, and I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but sometimes I have knee room problems because I've got pretty long legs. I've got a lot of headroom, and we do have this panoramic moonroof, which we can, if there's a switch, let's, whoa, there we go. This is a very, very large moonroof. It goes all the way from the front row all the way over the second row. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Is the light still okay here?
Yeah, the light's fantastic.
Excellent. So I really do like this. The seats are pretty comfortable. We've been driving around for maybe about a half hour, and I found the front seat to be quite comfortable. I think this would be good on a long road trip. And what we've got here is you've got two different configurations. So this is the 7-seat version right now. So I've got, in the 7-seat version, instead of a bench, I've got this thing that pops out. Don't know where you put this. You probably just leave this in the garage if you've got a family and get rid of it. But what it allows me to do is I can climb into the back seat, which I could actually do.
Easy, yeah.
I could actually do. So not the easiest way to get back here, but hey, it works. You can actually recline. The third row actually reclines back here too, which is kind of nice. And in the back, we've also got a bunch of cup holders. We've got a USB-C on this side. On that side, we've got 4 cup holders back here, and these do recline, 60/40 folding. Let's see if this guy actually goes down this time. Pre-production. Not being super cooperative right now, but don't take that as any indication of what the final product will be. You know what Toyota quality is typically like. So again, pre-production. And what's the best thing about being back here is I've actually got some knee room. Now, Kirk, you're just sitting back here, and you are 6'1", I think.
Correct.
I'm only 5'9", but I've got pretty good knee room back here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time back here, but good headroom too, because we don't have the sloping rear roof like you've got on some, like the Venza and stuff like that, where, you know, it sort of slopes down. So, and I've actually got, looks like I've got some, are these speakers? I don't know if these are speakers, but we do have a JBL audio system in here, which is standard across all of the trim levels, I believe.
It's on the Limited and Platinum.
Okay.
And the base one has 6 speakers, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, 6 speakers on the base. And we'll check that out. We'll see how it sounds and give you our impression in a little bit. But this is super practical. This has got way more space than the regular Highlander, and I think that's the main value proposition for this vehicle is way more space, a little bit more premium. Let's talk about the powertrains. We have 3 different engine choices on this. So this is the 2.4 liter gas engine. There's no hybrid on this. This is a turbo, and this makes 265 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy you're gonna get this on this combined is around 23, something like that, 22, 23. We've been seeing about 22 on the dashboard with all these journalists driving it aggressively like I do. Then you've got a hybrid powertrain, and this is part of the Beyond Zero initiative that Toyota is doing to reduce carbon emissions and sort of get towards carbon neutrality. Go ahead and argue over that, because I know there's a lot of commenters who don't really believe that. Anyway, so on the hybrid version, which you cannot get with this Platinum for some strange reason, you get about 243 horsepower, and your MPG goes up to a combined of 34 to 36 depending on the trim level. Then With this and some of the other versions, you can get the Hybrid Max version, and that is, of course, a hybrid engine that makes 362 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot. And I think that's what they're trying to get you to do if you buy the Platinum. They want you to move up to that engine because here's the thing, you get better gas mileage with that. Your combined is about 27 compared to 22 with this, so you get a lot more power, and that's just going to be a more interesting version to drive. So we have driven this. We'll give you our driving impressions in just a couple of minutes, but there's basically 3 grades, as Toyota likes to call them. I don't like the term grade. I'm just going to use trim level. So we start out with the XLE, and I'll just put some B-roll up on screen so you can see what the different vehicles look like. The XLE is the entry level. It's about $43,000 or so. Then in the middle, we have the Limited. And then at the top end, we have this Platinum, which has got the most luxury, it has the most features and so forth, and that goes up to about $58,000. So if you live in a snowy or winter climate, you're gonna wanna be able to get all-wheel drive, and this offers it in all the different trim levels. With the XLE, with the basic 2.4, or rather the base 2.4 liter engine, you're gonna have all-wheel drive with a mechanical drive shaft in between. But when you move up to the Hybrid and the Hybrid Max, you're gonna have an electric motor in the back, so no physical connection, and then you're gonna have another electric motor up front. It's gonna be a little bit heavier when you get into the hybrid versions, but you're gonna get better fuel economy, and you're also gonna be able to drive this thing in snowy conditions and not have to worry about that. And I think that's a big benefit, and I think it's actually something that in this class, you really are gonna need all-wheel drive. If you want the best fuel economy, unfortunately, you probably wanna just go with the XLE Hybrid, the base one, because that's gonna be the lightest and you're gonna get the best fuel economy with that. And it's always sort of a conundrum to me, like, why don't you get better fuel economy with the higher trim levels? But that's just never how it works, because they're heavier and you got more stuff in here. And unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. All right, we're in the big island here in Hawaii. We're gonna hit it. 2.4 liter, baby. Downhill. You know what? It's not that slow. I was expecting it to be a little bit slower with this 2.4 liter. We've only got 265 horsepower, I think. Yep. Made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And you know what? Those shifts were pretty quick. They're pretty satisfying.
Very good. I like the 8-speed auto in here. It's responsive. It's quick. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm here with Kirk Kriefels again. Probably the same video, I would imagine. So yeah. Right now, you know, we're still in the Platinum with the 2.4. We're going to drive some other variations in a couple of minutes right now. But I think my overall impression of this is, with this 2.4 liter, this is for people who want a real traditional kind of experience. We're not getting the hybrid in here. We have a pretty good sounding motor, I think. I kind of like the way it sounds. I'm not sure if it's enhanced with the speakers. I don't think it actually is.
We can put it in sport mode and find out.
Yeah, all right, let's try it again. Now we're in sport mode.
I don't think so.
No,
there's nothing there.
There's no audio enhancement, which is a really good thing.
It sounds good. It sounds natural.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a more traditional driving experience, I think this is sort of the way to go. And if you're perhaps just getting into the XLE trim, the base trim, and you want to save some money, it's not a bad way to go, especially if you don't drive a lot of miles every year, because you're not going to get the MPG that you're going to get in the Hybrid or the Hybrid Max.
Yeah.
But in terms of the driving dynamics, the driving experience in here, so this is a pretty large SUV, and even though we're on a very, very smooth bit of road right now, which is super beautiful going over to the ocean, it's a little bit floaty. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's pretty soft. The springs are fairly soft. If I do this a little bit, we get some, we get a little bit of ride motion from side to side.
And twisting, it feels like a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So I think it's okay. We were on some pretty rough pavement earlier, and there I think it didn't really like the rough pavement that much. It was very, very bumpy. We've got some really horrible surfaces here from all the trucks going up and down the hill. And it was definitely getting a little bit of impact harshness into the cabin. Nothing objectionable, but not quite at the Lexus level of the ride quality.
The TX will be a completely different riding vehicle. This is almost like minimum effort from Toyota. They really focused on the technology and the spaciousness and the amenities here. But from a driving aspect, I mean, they're much more fun to drive. Well, I wouldn't say much more, but like the new Pilot, I'm almost confident is going to be more fun to drive. I haven't driven it yet, but it has the same bones as MDX, which drives great. The new CX-90 is a great driving three-row SUV. This is just for like ultimate casuals out there that need a large vehicle. It ticks all the boxes, and when the hybrids, it'll
Right.
tick performance and fuel economy boxes.
Yeah, so this is by no means an enthusiast vehicle, but it's not meant to be, but
No.
this is super practical. And I will say one thing that I really like in here is I think the steering is actually pretty good in here. Toyota has been improving their steering systems quite a bit over the last couple of years. Earlier on with their early EPS systems, electric power steering, there was no feel, but I've actually got some real feel in here, which is kind of nice, especially when you go over imperfect pavement. You kind of feel what the car is doing, and I think that's a really important thing, and here's why. When you're driving a vehicle, your main input, your main interaction with the road is going to be through the steering, and so when you have good steering feel, it just makes you feel more relaxed. You feel like you're more in control of the car. It makes you not so worried about the car. And there's a subtle thing, but that sort of makes it easier to drive, in my opinion. So I think that's really important. But the overall driving experience in here this is pretty nice. I mean, it's very, very quiet.
So quiet. Yeah. So yeah, we've been talking about how like the driving dynamics are, vanilla, very those are the cute goats.
My gosh,
the goats. Goats are everywhere. But yeah, we got acoustic glass up here in the front.
And we have,
so quiet.
it's very quiet.
It's very quiet.
And we have some type of active noise cancellation in here too. I'll probably talk about that a little bit later in the video, but it is very quiet in here, and that's an important thing for this class of SUV.
Yeah. Then you have paddle shifters, so you can probably lock it into a gear right now to help us slow down the descent.
All right, third. Let's see if it'll go into second.
5,600.
It's doing it. It's doing it. Yeah.
We were actually maintaining speed, and this is a very steep grade. It's hard to tell on camera, but it is a steep grade here, and it's great to have those paddle shifters, and that would be probably more advantageous than a hybrid, or should I say the 2.5 liter hybrid, because we have a 6-speed auto in the Hybrid Max that could probably get similar engine braking going on.
Yeah, I think so. But this is a very comfortable ride. The seats, I think, are pretty good in here.
Like the seats
I'm really happy with the seats.
Yeah.
They're heated and not cooled, but ventilated.
Yeah, ventilated.
Cooled would be
AC.
It's more Lexus. I think we're gonna get the cooling in there. But this is, it drives really nice. But here's sort of the value proposition that we were talking about before. I think the hybrid is sort of the sweet spot for this kind of vehicle. Now, if you're going to be carrying around 8 people constantly, maybe the hybrid isn't the way to go. But if you're just doing a typical sort of situation where you're commuting to work, you've got 1 or 2 people, maybe you're taking your kids to school in the morning, you've got maybe 2 to 3 to 4 people in it most of the time, I think it's going to be fine. If you're doing long road trips a lot, probably the Hybrid Max is going to be the way to go. It's going to feel slow there. But the thing is, you're going to get much better gas mileage with the hybrid. You're going to get 36 versus about 22.
600 miles on a tank.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's all in 87 across all grades. So
that's right, 87. So that's going to save a few bucks.
Toyota said 75% of their first model year products will be with this 2.4 turbo, 13% on the hybrid, and the remaining for the Hybrid Max. They will plan on in subsequent years increasing the hybrid volume, but I think if they got rid of the 2.4 turbo and offered it the base as a hybrid and have the Hybrid Max for those who need more power for towing or offering more, I think everyone would be happy. Look, the Sienna, it's hybrid only, and people can't get enough of that vehicle right now.
I think that's where they're going to be going, quite frankly. I think they're just introducing this right now because they can. There's more parts in the hybrid, there's more battery technology, there's just more stuff, and we're still in a supplier constraint kind of world right now.
Especially with batteries.
So, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why the hybrid isn't offered right now, but this will be available, Toyota says, this summer, and they're going to have all the different trim levels available pretty much at launch.
Yeah,
just a slight delay for
ones,
the Hybrid Max of about 3 weeks, but you probably won't notice that at dealers.
Sure.
Now, let's talk about potential dealer markup on a vehicle like this, which is always a topic of conversation. So this starts at, again, around $43,000, goes up to about $58,000 for the Hybrid Max.
Yeah.
You can probably push it over $60,000 if you have some more options on it. So what are your thoughts? This is a pretty mass market, a pretty popular vehicle. They're going to be making a lot of these.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to be seeing markups on these?
It's hard to say. I know the market's the markups have been coming down with current interest rates. It's possible. I mean, especially with the demand and the desirability of Toyota products, you're going to see markups. But how much is going to depend on the individual dealer, where you're at in the country, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think we will see some markups initially, but this is a pretty big volume seller. This is not
volume, yeah.
Yeah, this is not going to be like the Prius where we're talking about 15,000 vehicles this year, I think, or 30,000, something like that.
Tears at my heart.
Everybody's trying to get those. So I think you'll be able to get this without markup. Don't quote me on it, but if you look around, you should be able to do it if you do your homework and you're willing to buy out of your area.
Yeah, you know, Toyota has priced this pretty competitively, I would say, against its competition. And I think since they are kind of a newcomer to this XXL crossover, you know, scene, I think, you know, they're going to do everything they can to be price competitive, at least from the OEM standpoint.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get a little bit of speed. I'm gonna hit the brakes and just give you my braking impression. I'm not gonna stop because I got a huge truck behind me, but let's see how they feel. Not a lot of feel in them, but I think that's okay for what this is, but it certainly seems to stop pretty effectively. I don't have a problem with that, but I do like to test out the brakes because when you got a big, heavy vehicle like this, you want something with decent brakes, and this seems to...
Well, there's the Hybrid Max right there.
It is. This seems to check the boxes for that. I would buy this over the regular Highlander.
Oh, yeah.
I think because we've got about 7 inches more length in here. The wheelbase is about 4 inches longer. We go from 196 to 200 or 201, something around there.
Yeah, the Highlander's in a weird spot because the RAV4 is so big now. A lot of people were saying they should have just made this the new Highlander, and you know.
Yeah, so
it's good to have choice.
Yeah, so they are sort of positioning this as a separate vehicle from the regular Highlander.
Shares nothing with it other than some powertrains.
Yeah, I mean, I opened up the video saying, what are the differences? Well, the differences are sort of everything. They say this is more of a ground-up kind of vehicle. Don't quite believe that, but there's a lot of difference between this and the regular Highlander. This just feels more sophisticated. It feels more grown-up. It just feels like a more premium vehicle driving it. I think the ride quality is actually better in here, and there's way less noise than the regular Highlander. Or the Highlander Hybrid is actually a bit on the noisy side, I think.
Yeah, and we haven't driven the hybrid version of this, but I know it's going to be quieter than the Highlander for sure.
The display structure is really good in here. I've got this 12-inch display in front of me. It's got really good black levels. It's very configurable. I think this is what they're using in the new Tacoma too, and I've seen they're going to be rolling this out in other products, so it's very good. I've got a heads-up display, which I cannot see with polarized glasses on, which is a problem with every heads-up display, but it's perfectly fine, and it's giving me good information. I think I can get navigation in here too, but we're using Google Maps, so it's not going to do that. But if you've got Android Auto, probably not going to work for you, but if you have Apple, if you have iOS, you're probably going to be able to see your directions in the heads-up display and also on the dash. I think the display is very, very good. What I like about this is it's so easy to drive in terms of I just hop in and it just feels like a normal vehicle. There's nothing special about it.
Oh, no.
I can just get in and I can just drive it, and you're going to feel really comfortable like right away. You're not going to feel like...
Ultimate Toyota plug and play.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no learning curve.
There's a lot of tech in here, but the tech is not intrusive at all, and that's what I like about it. This was the first drive of the Grand Highlander. I'm going to have different trim options right over here in the next couple of days. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.